And the topic is very important for everyone, and in principle, it doesn't actually matter what age we are, as the process of health undoubtedly affects us throughout our entire lives, indeed. And this is the basic state. The state of our health, which is the foundation of our life. And if we feel unwell, we may experience all life processes quite difficultly and heavily because we might lack energy, mood, and joy. And we may also find it difficult to navigate all other relationships with life. And I want to talk about what influences and affects the overall state of health, wellness, and youth. First, how we, as beings connected with feelings and emotions. This includes both men and women. And we all experience emotions and feelings differently. For the most part, we are not taught how to consciously experience our emotions and feelings. These are the very most important criteria that affect our health, and our human body is made up of the 5 basic elements. Also, all emotions and feelings are connected to these 5 elements. And when we do not know how to process our emotions, our feelings, these energies remain in our body, in our cells, in our organs. And, as a rule, the most difficult experiences affect our health. This is fear, this is anger, this is jealousy, this is rage. And when we don't know how to process them, these sensations, these feelings, these emotions remain in our body, in our system. The first thing that affects the conscious experience of these emotions is our breathing. It is important for us to learn to breathe correctly to release these experiences and feelings, emotions, to release this from our body's system. And, as a rule, we are also not taught breathing, neither in kindergarten, nor in school, nor in other educational systems. And the first thing we need to learn is how we consciously breathe. That is, how we inhale, which involves our emotions and feelings, and how we exhale to release these experiences. And as a rule, if we experience some difficult feelings, we may even find it very hard to breathe through these feelings. That is, it can be aggression, it can be anger, it can be fears. And we block our breathing on the inhale. And then, accordingly, the blockage occurs in different parts of the body, depending on where our breathing is stopped. If, for example, we feel fear or anxiety when we express ourselves through our voice, it might be an experience from when we were growing up and our parents forbade us from expressing ourselves vocally. That is, when we shouted, laughed, or cried, and the child experienced very difficult emotions from their parents and possibly from other people. So, in that case, the blockage occurs in the throat. And then it becomes very difficult for us to sound through the throat, through our own voice. And sound directly affects our state of health correction and our experience in the emotional and feeling spheres. And further, when breathing can stop, it is in the chest area. This experience, let's say, for the feeling of love, that is, if we do not receive it from our parents, then on the inhale, This quality of love also stops in the chest area near the heart, and then breathing is blocked in the heart center. Then it becomes very difficult for us to take a deep breath in the chest area and exhale. Furthermore, we experience the rest of the feelings below, which are associated with more instinctive states. This is the feeling of life. This is strength. It is also fear for life. That is, where can we experience fear, anxiety, physical threat? And then our energy and breathing get blocked in the solar plexus and lower abdomen, or throughout the entire abdomen. And this will naturally affect our condition. And the water element, because emotions and feelings are also a water element. And this will affect the urinary system, the kidneys, and the adrenal glands. The state of anger and rage affects our solar plexus system and the diaphragm, gallbladder, liver, and also impacts the bones, which in turn can lead to various issues such as muscle tension and other related problems. If, for example, the water balance, and if we suppress emotions and feelings such as the state of fear, it affects our ligaments and connective tissues. Fire influences the bone structure. If we, for instance, do not understand or know how to experience emotions of rage, anger, and fury, then, accordingly, this will affect the bones. The more we stop and suppress the energy of rage and anger, the more it will accumulate in the bones, making the bones very rigid. And, accordingly, there may be various different and complex processes associated with when we break our bones. So, it's either the legs or the arms. This is how we don't know when to experience our fire. And then the body finds a way to release this energy in various ways, through fractures. And if it's the ligaments and connective tissues, then it's water, it's our fears. That is, it's the experience of fears. It is very important for us to master throughout our lives in order to help ourselves correct our condition, health, physical, emotional, and sensory spheres through breathing. This is the foundation of all foundations. We have many different types of breathing. First, we become aware of and understand how we breathe. All this requires attention, concentration, and time, and we learn to breathe through the whole body. If, for instance, you are just starting to breathe and learn how to breathe, you might notice that your breathing stops at a certain part of your body. For some people, breathing may get stuck in the throat area, and very little, very narrow breathing passes through the whole body, which consequently disrupts all the interactions and functions of the body. That means we do not get enough oxygen to the organs and systems, disrupting blood flow and the lymphatic system. And when the blood flow and lymphatic system are disrupted, we experience congestion in various places and organs. And when we learn to correct through breathing and release our unprocessed emotions and feelings, we begin to release this energy that has stopped, that has become fixed in certain parts of the body. And initially, we learn to simply restore breathing. For example, when we guide the breathing through the entire body, through the whole system downwards. And when we encounter, let's say, when we take a breath in, and if we see that we can't even take a deep breath, that is, where the stop occurs on the inhale, and then we find out where the stop occurs on the exhale, that is, how the energy flows in the body, and how it doesn't. And here, through breathing, we initiate and correct our energy state and release our unprocessed, suppressed emotions and feelings. And further, accordingly, there are situations, images, mental fluctuations, and certain programs that have formed in one situation or another. And, accordingly, we activate a wide range of experiences and emotions that we hold in our unconscious and, consequently, in our body, in our system of organs and tissues. And at the beginning, we align the breathing, that is, we learn to exhale down through the entire body. It takes time because if we, for example, have been breathing shallowly for a long time, many years perhaps, we might not be able to master this immediately. But if we practice, if we move in this direction, then of course, we master the method of breathing and we begin to restore and regulate ourselves through breathing. And then, on the exhale, we release those unprocessed, cultured emotions, feelings, thoughts, and images. And then we need to learn to properly inhale less and exhale more effectively and efficiently in our daily lives. And suppose when we inhale, and then we start to expand and lengthen the exhale. So, this is the first point. And then we start mastering the method of not just one exhale, but first 2 exhales, then 3 exhales. So, we inhale and we exhale, then we exhale again, and then we exhale once more. And let's say, repeat this 6 times. That is, it also takes time to learn this breathing technique. And on the exhale, we sort of unload everything accumulated in the body's system, in our cells, organs, ligaments, tissues, and bones. And when we exhale, that is, deeply from our system, this stagnant energy, or what in the Chinese system is called stagnant qi, it is precisely the quality of diseases, stagnant energy that then forms diseases or chronic illnesses, either at an early stage or already at some prolonged stage. In other words, through breathing, we can release our stagnant energies, emotions, and feelings, fully experience them, let them go, and consciously reformat ourselves. And first, we learn this breathing technique while sitting, when we do it consciously or standing, because there are several methods, that is, sitting and standing positions. And then, when we accumulate this experience, we can already, in the process of life, when certain experiences, sensations, feelings, and emotions occur that throw us off balance, because we react to certain events, certain situations, as we are human beings. This is a natural process. In the course of a situation, we begin to practice this breathing, consciously exhaling the experiences we may be feeling at that moment. And it is clear that, for instance, we cannot immediately reach this conscious state. We need experience, which we gain through practice. When we sit down to practice, we teach ourselves to release and exhale these unprocessed emotions and feelings through the practice, and ultimately, to activate the system in the body so that the body can renew itself and perform self-regulation. In the tissues, in the systems, and accordingly, the movement of lymph, blood, and the activation of our organs. Because, perhaps, let's say, if there is a lot of tension, anger, and rage, then, accordingly, it all affects the liver and the gallbladder. That is, the gallbladder begins to spasm, and the liver accumulates toxins and poisons. Accordingly, it fails to cleanse the blood in the body. That is, if these are fears and worries, our urogenital system becomes constricted, and this negative yin energy accumulates, which are fears. That is, if fire is yang. Then fears are yin energy, and then this yin energy turns negative. Consequently, this affects our experiences and how we feel. Let's assume this already forms a state of beliefs, programs, behavior patterns, scenarios, and roles. In other words, initially an unresolved situation, state, or feelings are formed and accumulate. Then this transitions into a situation of beliefs, programs, scenarios, and roles. Therefore, it is very important for us to master this experience of understanding how crucial it is for us to breathe and how essential it is to consciously live through our emotions and feelings of various kinds. And the next step is how we essentially access the unconscious level and effectively cleanse this informational field through the mental space. That is, when we go through the memory of the soul. We look at scenarios, vibrations, roles, and programs. That is, we annul at the level of scenarios and vibrations. We cleanse ourselves on an unconscious level. We do this consciously. We cleanse and reformat the codes of youth, the codes of health, the codes of happiness, the codes of well-being. Or, let's say, certain situations or events where you experienced a lack of acceptance of love, or, on the contrary, you shared your love but were not accepted at that moment. This creates a situation where you think, I can't love, my love is not needed by anyone, or, on the contrary, nobody loves me. In such cases, we close ourselves off, we close our hearts. As a result, heart problems and complications accumulate. In other words, it manifests as a heart-related illness. And in women, this is also related to the breasts. That is, various fibroids begin to form. There are fibroids in the uterus and various formations in the breast. That is, they are interconnected with each other, the chest and the uterus. Fibroids and cysts form in the uterus, and various formations also develop in the breast tissues. When we do not experience our love, both in acceptance and in sharing, we are mastering conscious breathing methods to fully experience and release this from the body's system, freeing up this stagnant ancient energy, pain, resentment, disappointment, anger, rage, jealousy, and fear. And on the level of consciousness, we change the scenarios. That is, we reformat the scenarios, we reformat the roles. Suppose we had the experience that our mother did not love us or did not give us enough of the attention we wanted. This formed a belief that I cannot receive love or that I am unworthy of love. And then we enter the next stage, the last one, where we start to create the scenario that we cannot experience our love naturally, openly, and easily, that we will not be loved. And we take on the role of believing that I am not loved or I am not lovable. And then, accordingly, we begin to invite people into our lives. We unconsciously calculate the space, those who do not love us, and we invite them into our lives to constantly relive the same situation, the same story that has been fixed, stopped. as if we took a photograph and this photograph stopped, and we constantly relive it. Therefore, when we attend the Youth Flows seminar, we will master breathing techniques and learn different types of breathing to first initiate breathing and let it flow through the entire body. Through the body will show us which stories have stopped and which emotions and feelings are unfinished. We will complete them, learn to lower our breath, to breathe through the entire body, through all organs, and the next step, master the method of small inhales and long exhale. That is, at first, we will allow a long exhale once, and then we will learn to exhale first twice, then 3 times, then 4, then 5, and 6. For the body's system to reboot, release this old chi, or what is called illness, and initiate elements of new, revitalizing energy. And when we truly release this breath, this energy, we activate the mechanism of inhaling new energy, new chi, and vitality, and consciously begin to fill those places, those parts of the body where it was blocked. Or there are specific illnesses present. That is, we begin to exhale these illnesses and inhale health at the level of breathing. And we develop this skill so that we can use these practices and methods throughout our entire lives. Next, we go through the process of reviewing and examining the scenarios in which we are stuck, the scenarios we are living out, beliefs, programs, behavior patterns, and roles. We cancel these scenarios, close them, reformat, and create new images, new manifestations, new codes. The next process we will go through will also be connected to learning to hear and listen to our bodies, our organs, and our system through meditation and practice. And also, when the body tells us which rhythm is important for our body at this moment in life. Because, for example, when the cycles of spring, winter, summer, and autumn change, the rhythms of our lives and the rhythms of our sleep also change. If we regularly align ourselves with our bodies, meaning we engage in practice and meditation, we listen during this period of time. Let's say, now it's the summer cycle. How much sleep does our body need? Usually, during the summer cycle, less sleep is needed. But it is very important for you to determine your own time when it is important for you to fall asleep. Maybe for someone at 9 o'clock, for someone at 10, for someone at 11, and for someone, at 10:30, for example. That's it. And rise. That is what is necessary for your body. Suppose you are working and need to wake up at a certain time, but instead of getting up at 6:30, you get up at 7. By doing so, you miss the 6:30 moment when your body is on an upward wave. In other words, you set your alarm for 7 o'clock. But during those 7 hours, you missed the wave that is going up. In other words, you woke up on a wave that is going down. Because we are always living in the wave system of the entire cosmos, we are constantly moving within this wave system. But if we recognize this exact time of our rise through meditation, then we ride the wave. And then the process of our energy in the body will be very active, productive, and strong. But if we miss this time even by 15 minutes, we enter a different wave, a different phase that is already going down. And then, that is, we wake up, we feel as if we haven't had enough sleep, that we don't have enough energy because we went through a downward wave. This is also very important and necessary. Understand through practice, through listening to the body, what the body will say. No, you need to get up at such and such a time. This will be your phase of your wave, and it is different for everyone. For some, it might be 15 minutes. For others, a half-hour difference. So, you are standing at the same time and you are not catching the wave. And someone else might be better at catching this wave, and then there is activity, while someone else, on the contrary, goes down. That's why the phases of sleep, meaning when we fall asleep, are very necessary and important for our body, as our body tells us. In other words, these are not just some ideas or concepts. We are directly learning to listen to our body, which clearly communicates. The entire process of how it achieves harmony and maintains a state of health and balance. The next point, for example, is daytime naps, which can also be necessary and important even for just 15 minutes. When you lie down and rest for those 15 minutes, maybe take a nap, you disconnect, then you get up, meaning your body's system is rebooted into this new wave of the day. This is also very important. And it is also important throughout the day, even if, let's say, you don't fall asleep, to lie down on the floor for at least 15 minutes. Since our fluid system, which passes throughout the entire spine, also deforms gradually during the day, and these fluids are redistributed when we lie down horizontally. It's better not to use the bed so that our entire system, skeleton, spine, neck, and head, can be as relaxed as possible, so that we can directly redistribute, so that these fluids can be redistributed in the spine again. This is also very, very important. And further, we will look at the disease scenarios we have inherited through the family system, both from the paternal and maternal lines. For instance, what is transmitted to us through DNA codes, body codes, and mental program codes, we receive all of this unconsciously, and it is also important for us to understand this. Accordingly, we go through meditation and review again which systems, that is, which diseases, which scenarios are activated in our system, and we nullify the disease scenarios in the hereditary system. This is the first point. There are many. When I was working on it at the time, I unloaded a lot of diseases that were directly activated, and they can be incorporated into a certain cycle of our lifespan. Let's say they are not activated. Let's say 30 years pass, and when this disease was triggered, in the mother, father, grandmothers, and grandfathers, it is released at the same time, and she begins to actively engage. This is what is called working according to scenarios. And then we begin to enter the informational field at the unconscious level and nullify, turn off this informational field in our system, which accordingly affects us and our body's condition. Next, we will thoroughly review through meditation which disease scenarios are triggered by the social system. What is a social system? That is, we all live in social life and in the belief system that is either promoted or given, for example, models, mental models. Suppose a woman at 40 years old is going through either menopause or postmenopause, and the body's system will heal. This is a program that initiates the process of body destruction at this time. And this program has an impact. That is, it gets activated, and this program disrupts your hormonal system and other systems affecting our body mentally. Accordingly, we will be reviewing belief scenarios that are within the social system zone where we live. Because, for instance, if one country has certain social beliefs, they change in other countries. But as a rule, let's say the belief that when a woman ages and reaches a certain mature age, then yes, accordingly, various types of diseases will start to manifest. This is launched in the system, in the social system. And we will also observe, recognize, and cleanse our system. Consciousness, unconscious levels, the body from these negative programs, beliefs, and scenarios, because this is also a disease scenario. That's why we will definitely go through all these levels. One day, we can go through the process deeply enough. At the seminar, I will naturally touch on the topic of nutrition. Or perhaps not just nutrition. We will also go through meditation so that you can understand through your body what kind of nutrition you need, what rhythm is necessary, what needs to be adjusted, and through which methods, ways, and techniques your body and health condition can be improved. Understood, we won't be able to do all the other techniques. In one day, meaning we will go through a concentrated process. However, there are many situations. For example, we cannot, for example, influence, that is, we may not be able to deeply and strongly affect the bone structure of teeth or roots. That means we will need to look at and also regulate our type of nutrition, which also affects our health condition. But, for instance, understanding which type of nutrition is best when you go directly through the body, when your body tells you which elements you need and require. It could be herbs, systems, or, for example, which combinations of nutritional elements are unfavorable for you. Something that does not go well together, or your body does not absorb. But, for example, another person does not absorb these combinations of these nutritional elements. That is why the most important thing is to teach ourselves, to learn to breathe, and to consciously experience our feelings, emotions, and experiences. Next, learn different types of breathing so that we can release and cleanse the body of old, stagnant energy that has already turned into illness. Accordingly, when we cleanse this energy, the body initiates a new system, new chi, and renewal and rejuvenation begin. And, accordingly, we release these emotions and feelings that we have held for a long time, and they have a destructive impact on us. And we will look at programs, scenarios, and stories. That is, where we have taken something from the family system, the social system, or, for example, when we listen to something. That is, we have taken it in, we have activated this program, this vibration, meaning it has started in our body system and it is already beginning to activate. Here, this is what I wanted to tell you about. The seminar, which will be on July 18, will last approximately about 5 hours in total. maybe approximately 5:30. And now I will read the questions. Cortisol belly. Visceral fat, signs that the nervous system and the body as a whole have stopped coping with chemicals, stress, and aging. The body is going full throttle. Is it genetics, or can it be managed with the tendency for weight gain in several generations of the family? Here are all the questions, and the answers were already in the conversation. So, this can be worked on at all levels. Breathing, cleansing oneself, emotions, feelings, and reformatting programs, beliefs, scenarios, and roles. Similarly, if there are skin problems, first look at these internal processes when we have not fully experienced our emotions and feelings. That is, the skin may also be very strongly connected to the state of love and self-love and love for one's body. That is, what is related to the skin is connected to the non-acceptance of one's body, the non-acceptance of how we look. Therefore, through meditation here, we learn to acknowledge and accept our bodies, to release the experiences we received from others who did not love us, who judged and denied our bodies, to let go of these experiences, to free those people who live in our consciousness and our bodies, and accordingly, to restart a new system of love, value, gratitude, and acceptance. In other words, we also do this through practices. But just like when changes in the body start after the age of 40, you can work with them to prolong youth. Yes, you can work with them. And here is also the question of fertility we will need to look at. What scenarios are in the unconscious, such as the fear of getting pregnant at this time, the fear of how you will feed the child, how you will raise them? This process can also be influenced by mental factors, or it could be fears and worries not only of your own, but also of your relatives. Perhaps your mom was worried about how she would raise you, whether she would have enough resources, strength, health, and money. And all of this is also passed down to us through our system of genetics and mental vibrations. And so, when we cleanse this process, accordingly, we restructure ourselves differently. We also learn, for example, through meditation, to listen to the state of our soul and body, to determine if the true purpose of our soul and body is to give life to a child. Maybe it's just a mental story that I need a child to take care of me later because I'm afraid of how I will live through my old age. And maybe it's not about the child, not about wanting to give life and share love, knowledge, wisdom, but maybe you want to relinquish your responsibility for yourself, for your life, or some unfinished stories, feelings, experiences to your child. That is why it is very important here to look through practice to truly understand where this desire or these thoughts are coming from, whether you want to pass on your karma and your unresolved stories to your child for them to live through, as our parents usually did. So, either you truly have the resources and you free yourself from the old experiences of your parents, believing that you can indeed manage and give life to a child. You have enough resources, strength, happiness, and health that you want to share. This is a different situation. That's why we need to examine the process more deeply here. So, now I will look further. That is, a rather severe malfunction in the body in the form of diseases of the female organs. By what means? In other words, it's all the same. The methods we will use are for all types of diseases. How to reduce or completely give up alcoholic beverages and why alcohol relaxes, fulfilling certain behavioral needs in the body's actions. And sleep, that is, it may be related to our early childhood period when we were breastfed. And maybe, if as a child we were undernourished, meaning we didn't receive enough attention, warmth, love, and nourishment, then this might be a state where through alcohol we start to relax, the anxiety fades, and the feeling that we are not needed by our mother and family goes away. This might be exactly the story of reverting to a childlike state. And that's why a person uses some relaxants and at the same time drinks, just like sucking on a breast. When a baby breastfeeds, they are not only eating food, but they also relax deeply and calm down because it is also connected to the nervous system and relaxation. That's why alcohol and nicotine can be strongly associated with this age, with this period. And when a child does not receive these experiences and feelings, they may substitute them with alcohol or smoking, such as they grow up. And if we change this process, if we release and fully experience these unresolved stories of not being loved or not receiving something through conscious living, we fill ourselves with love. We release that state of lovelessness, that state of being lost or abandoned. Or, let's say, we didn't receive that acceptance. We remove these emotional states, we fully experience them, and we fill ourselves with conscious love, consciously infuse ourselves with energy, the power of love, and a state of wholeness. Because when we consciously connect ourselves with life, we then enter again into this quality of the unity of life, that is, the unity of all that exists. And we begin to feel and experience love as it is, but no longer through mom and dad, but directly. Now I will keep watching. How can you help yourself during menopause to deal with hot flashes and headaches? First, we go through these practices and methods again, and then it is also important to check the condition of your blood and see which elements you might be lacking additionally. It is important to adjust your diet accordingly. So, in addition to these practices, what kind of nutrition do we need, and what is the body lacking? That is, we look through meditation at what the body is saying, which elements and trace elements it needs. And we also check the blood, that is, we verify it on all levels. And what is necessary, which specific enzymes, what kind of important diet. In other words, we regulate the process of our body's condition, and also, let's say, throughout our lives, we accumulate certain problems and difficulties that later manifest as diseases or chronic illnesses, causing certain organ systems to fail, meaning they become weakened. And when the process of menopause passes, all these problems come to the forefront. That the body's systems are not coping. We need to first regulate ourselves through energy, breathing, belief systems, and then, accordingly, diet. And maintain yourself in this balanced state, where our body works actively within its entire system. That means our systems for releasing toxins and poisons are activated. In other words, our system for activating our organs is engaged consequently. The process that affects the hormonal system becomes harmonized and balanced, which naturally leads to fewer hot flashes and fewer subsequent reactions in the body. In fact, hot flashes and headaches may even completely disappear. And this can also be related to blood flow. especially if you are sitting incorrectly and your neck is bent in such a position. And you have been in a physical position for so long, this naturally affects blood flow as well. In other words, besides what we go through internally, we need to build ourselves up. We need to align our body position, muscles, and tissues, meaning those natural exercises that help align our posture, so that blood flow moves easily and smoothly through the neck, through the vessels, and throughout the entire system of the body. Thus, regarding how diseases arise, I explained at the beginning. So, I will see what other questions there are. What does a lumbar hernia in the sacral region indicate? What should you pay attention to? It can be related to childbirth, or it might be connected to some fear during the process. Perhaps the childbirth experience left a mark on you, meaning that fear was transmitted to you through the system. Alternatively, it could be due to your personal strains. For instance, if you have taken on many different tasks and responsibilities throughout your life, and the body's system cannot withstand this load, primarily mental and energetic, including your responsibilities. But we can definitely know when we go through the body, directly approach this illness. Ask the body what the causes are, and your body tells you what the causes are. In other words, this will be the most accurate view of the situation. Because it could be, as I am saying now, it could be this, or this, but the most accurate confirmation will come from the body. It is very important for us to learn to listen to our body and understand what it is saying, what these causes are, how to release them, and how to help ourselves. Sugar, like alcohol, deprives us of certain states. When we block some of our emotional states or the sensory sphere, we don't know how to experience it, and it is also connected with our pleasure and our sexuality. It is all related to the taste of sweetness because sweet food is, like. They substitute this experience of orgasmic experiences and ecstatic experiences. That is, when we eat, we also experience pleasure. But if we remove our problems, meaning why we have blocked our sensual sphere, we go and learn to live our sensual sphere, our sexuality, our acceptance of our body. Because if we do not acknowledge our body, we cannot fully experience and openly feel pleasure through sexual experiences. Because it is all very interconnected. It's not about, for example, going through everything at once, in one day. That is impossible. I provide these basic, fundamental practices and methods that affect our health, where we learn the very basics. But, let's say, going through all the processes and all the diseases in detail in one day is naturally impossible. And, for instance, what range of practices and methods will we need for a particular situation? If we have a crooked spine, we need to work with theopathy accordingly, and we need to align ourselves through physical methods, not just through mental breathing. Therefore, you understand that we won't experience a miraculous healing from all diseases in one day. But we will cover a lot of ground. We will understand the basic foundation that affects our health, how to release ourselves and cleanse from unexperienced stories, emotions, and feelings, how to balance the state through breathing. That is, we need to learn several types of breathing, and then we need to learn how to annul negative stories through belief scenarios, annul the scenario of various types of diseases, that is, on the level of consciousness, unconsciousness, and superconsciousness. If a uterine fibroid or breast cyst is on the right side, what does it indicate? This is related to the male history. That is, it is the history of the father, the history of men. If it is with the left side, then it is a female theme. That is, it is related to the mother and everything feminine. Just as we can have issues, not only with our mother, we can also struggle with accepting ourselves as women, accepting the feminine within us, and accepting our feminine expressions. So, on one hand, we might feel love for our mother, and at the same time, we do not accept or acknowledge her, meaning we have a sense of rejection, and this entire range of emotions and experiences is within us. And, accordingly, it is a mix, a kind of cocktail that primarily affects not only how we feel about our mother, but also how we feel about ourselves as women, because it is all very interconnected. That is, on the right side, it is related to male qualities. So, what kind of relationship do we have with our father? That is, if we are delving into a deeper process, we need to thoroughly go through the histories with both our father and mother. That is, what we go through in Life Basics 1 and Life Basics 2. In other words, we experience these processes more deeply and thoroughly through meditation. In this one day, we will not be able to experience all of this. We will not be able to go through these experiences. In other words, it is impossible. We need to thoroughly live through and complete the story with our father, and perhaps the story with various men. The story with the mother, with the women of the mother's lineage, you see. That is, it is a very large volume. Therefore, understand that. That is, what processes and what causes, meaning what we can go through, and what we cannot go through in one day. Is it possible to activate the code of youth for improvement? I didn't understand the question at all. So, when? We need to first remove the energies of unexperienced feelings, experiences, emotions, and situations that are stuck in our system, burn out the old stagnant chi that has already formed diseases, chronic illnesses. Then, the processes of rejuvenation, cleansing, and health are initiated. In other words, we restart these processes accordingly. Well, Maya, could you share how your day is structured in terms of your daily routine practice? Dear ones, my day, my life, this is my life. What may be eco-friendly, good, and harmonious for me may not be suitable for you at all. Therefore, what is true and good for me in terms of nutrition rhythm, health condition, and the methods and techniques that influence me may be perfectly suitable for me because I have chosen them in accordance with my body, my nature, and my elements. If I tell you, it won't give you anything, so it's useless information. So, what do you need? Learn to understand your structure, your composition, your elements, how to regulate yourself, how to listen to your body, how to hear the settings of your body, that is, your rhythm, and accordingly integrate yourself into this rhythm. So, it's equivalent to, like when I, for example, sew a dress for myself and I have my own measurements. And for us, accordingly, if we measure, that is, our own body, we all have completely different measurements. Their length, height, width, all in different places. Therefore, what will be perfect for me may not suit you at all, just like for everyone else. That is, it can be approximate, but the methods we are discussing now are suitable for everyone. Like the process of breathing, like the process of regulation, like the process of cleansing from negative belief scenarios. This is the same for everyone. Working with the first, second, and third chakras is also complex. What are some non-mental methods? Look into nutrition and the overall alignment of elements. Once again, aligning the elements through breathing. That is, when we start to hear and feel our state through the alignment of the rhythm in which we live. Because, for instance, someone might have an excess of the fire element. If you eat hot food or spicy food, you will have even more of the fire element, which will significantly affect your liver. This will be an excess of fire. This will create a state of great anger and irritability. Therefore, let's say if you determine your condition, your fire, that you have an excess of the fire element, then you will need to regulate and balance your fire through nutrition, rhythm, and accordingly, water. That means you will need to drink more water. Maybe the shower is not too hot, but it must be cooling to balance your water element, or vice versa. Or you might have an excess of the water element, and it is frozen. In that case, you indeed need hot nutrition. You specifically need spicy food, and hot drinks. Ginger, it warms you up, it melts your cold. And, accordingly, it is very good for you, for example, to stay in the sun, warm your kidneys and lower back, either with a heating pad or something else. That means these methods will be important and necessary for you. In other words, we need to learn to understand our own system. Each of you, what are your elements? You will look through meditation and practices and understand, how it works in your body system and how it works in your life, in your manifestations. Or, on the contrary, an excess of wind. And when there is an excess of wind, the nervous system is disrupted. Then a person may be nervous, emotional, that is, unbalanced. We also balance this slightly unbalanced wind through breathing. We align the channel into a unified state because, for example, if the wind is unbalanced, then the energy does not pass through the central channel. She is usually on the periphery. So, a person who is in this element of disjointed wind will constantly jump between ideas, stories, the mentality of the past and future, quickly, enter into some forms, communicate quickly, but it will be very difficult for them to align, be in rhythm, be consistent, be sequential, because this system requires coordination, concentration, and consistency. And if it's chaotic wind, then that's the dynamic of changes. Changing the nervous system, changing mental ideas. There might be some quick bursts. For example, you get excited about something, and just as quickly you exhale. It is important for us to balance this wind, regulate it, and return it to the central channel of our body, and then ground it. Let your breath connect with the earth, not excessive and shallow breathing. Otherwise, your emotional and feeling states will also be shallow. And this will definitely also affect how you live. This spontaneity, constant changes, nothing consistent, and then this person will not be able to achieve anything. Or conversely, another phase when there is too much earth and it is not active. That is, she is not nourished with fluids, water, and movement, and then it becomes stagnation, and this person becomes very mentally sluggish. It's hard for him to change, very hard, when there are any changes in life. That is, for him, it means rigidity, heaviness, tension, fears. Therefore, it is very important for us to understand who you are according to the elements. How to balance these elements, we will study through meditation, explore through your specific body, through your understanding, and accordingly regulate yourself in this way. How can you tell that the right things are coming to meditation? For example, by elements and not by fantasies. Look, so how do you understand? Simply, you look at the state of your body, at your experience of emotions and feelings. That is, if you are emotionally unbalanced, or on the contrary, you are active in your actions and have a lot of passion, then that is fire. We will talk about this, but so that you mentally understand these elements and can check your behavior and observe the state of your body. That is, if, for example, the tea is very dense, then it contains a lot of earth. If someone is too fragile or thin, it might be an excess of the wind element. If, that is, such forms are round, then these are elements of water. Accordingly, that is, the problem could be with swelling or lymph stagnation. In other words, it is an excess of water. And, accordingly, you will need to understand how to work with water. That is, on the level of water, actions, and on the level of emotions, feelings, and how we experience these feelings and emotions. Okay. Please explain the impact of vaccination on health. What are the causes of cancer, and how can it be healed? Well, vaccination is a chemical influence on the body. That is, some vaccinations might help, while others might, on the contrary, harm our body's system. That is, for the most part, I am certainly not in favor of using such scientific medical methods to help myself. I am definitely in favor of learning to help oneself naturally in this way. But if, for example, in some situations you need some help, let's say you have let a disease progress and now you need surgery. Then accordingly, in this case, surgery will help you. That is, I am not rigidly adhering to one system or another, this or that, but consciously understanding what can be used now, how to help myself first with natural methods, ways, and means to activate our body's health system. That's it. And that is, if there are already some chronic pathologies and it is no longer possible, for example, like sand or something else, we need to understand how to help ourselves now. So, reasonableness and understanding are very important here. And conversely, when we consciously adjust ourselves by turning to our wisdom, achieving clarity not only of the body, but also of the spirit and soul, we then receive very clear, precise answers. How can I help myself now? What methods can restore me to the maximum easily, quickly, and ecologically, and which ones require us to help in another way? Please tell me about excess weight. There can be many reasons for it. One of the reasons is the survival process. That is, it could be a scenario of hunger. It could be a scenario of violence. Therefore, the body protects itself in this way. This could be a scenario of unprocessed emotions, feelings, and sexuality. And in this way, the body accumulates this state. It could be fear, for example, that if someone has experienced sexual violence, to avoid getting into that situation, you activate this scenario, this belief. Due to the fear of sexual violence, you include extra weight as a form of protection. But once again, we can understand more precisely when we go directly to the body and ask what the cause is. And then the body starts to speak. There may be several reasons that we need to clear, heal, and help the body reformat. And then the body will start to adjust to different states of energy, feelings, emotions, and images. Consequently, this process can be restored. The body can trigger a system of feelings from excess weight and align itself. Well, naturally, it is very important for us not only to help ourselves mentally, perhaps through meditation, but also to simply keep moving. That is, if we move little and the body needs physical activity. Some actions are needed, whether it's dancing, walking, or something else. And your body will also tell you that this is what it needs right now. This is what will help at this stage for healing and recovery. And if, on the contrary, the body is very slender from childhood, sometimes even excessively so, that is, it is a lack of the element of earth, and practices for harmonizing and connecting oneself with the earth will be needed. You know, how to gain matter, gain weight. That is, it is something that you may not be accepting, something related to earthly life, something related to the earth. And at some point, you blocked it within yourself, thinking, I don't want to deal with this. And all this energy doesn't fill you, doesn't nourish your roots, animal states, or animal instincts. Because if our instincts are disconnected, accordingly, our immune system stops functioning and working. If your legs hurt a lot, your right knee doesn't bend, and your feet hurt severely, pay attention primarily to the connection with the male principle, men, your father, and the male aspect within yourself. That is, if you do not accept certain parts, qualities, or properties in men, you will also not accept them in yourself. And this can also be very much related to actions, manifestations, and, you know, the dynamics of movement. That is, it could be the speed of movement, direct linearity, that maybe you had some experience and you couldn't live through it, and it became your pain and fear. So, and then it becomes difficult for you to recognize and accept this quality of straightforwardness, activity, and actions. And you fear this in others, you fear this in men, you fear this in yourself, and you are afraid to move there, to go through it, and to realize it further. And then, not only will you have problems with men, but it will also be difficult for you to achieve something. It will be hard for you to move forward in areas of your life that involve actions and the realization of actions where the male principle is needed, but you have blocked it within yourself. And this can affect your legs, knee, and foot. If skin redness occurs periodically, you need to look at which emotions and feelings are difficult for you to experience, in which situations. That is, when you immerse yourself in it, when you connect with these situations, fully experience them, and consciously learn to live through them in the process of life, then you align and build yourself. Worries, some excessive reactions, stresses, and fears are leaving. What exactly happened? What experience was it related to? So, are you learning to relive this in these situations? So, dear ones, our time for this broadcast is coming to an end. I hope this information was useful to you, and it will help your life, and I will be glad if you also attend the seminar. The seminar will be one day, and it will be recorded and also posted on the guide course. If you cannot attend on this day, you can take this seminar on another day that is convenient for you. And I wish you a happy and healthy life. I wish for you to be able to establish harmonious, conscious, and loving relationships with yourself first and foremost, with your body, with your elements, and with your soul. And so that you can also use these methods and ways to build relationships with the world and with other people. And with the experience, we go through vast, immense, and multidimensional throughout our lives. That is to say, it is certainly not easy to live life and live it in harmony, happiness, and love. Before we go through this love and harmony, we experience a lot of emotions, sufferings, confusion, misunderstandings, and fears. But if we truly want to master how to live in harmony, balance, and health, we can achieve this, we can comprehend it. But for that, we need to turn inward. We need to explore. We need to learn to master these methods and techniques throughout our lives and use them. You know, the state of happiness doesn't happen by itself. It is the result of our efforts and conscious living, conscious experiencing, and a conscious understanding of what we are made of and how the entire universe is composed, that is, how to experience it and how to balance it consciously. I wish everyone happiness, health, peace, love, and prosperity. Until next time.